Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to show you one of my favorite strategies when I'm buying graded Pokemon cards on eBay. Now, I typically don't buy raw singles unless I'm in person. If I'm in person at a card shop, at a card show, no problem buying a raw single and then potentially grading it in the future. That's not a problem for me. But when I'm buying online, it's really tough to buy raw singles and know what you're getting, right? It can be really challenging, right? Especially when I've been doing this for a few years now. So when you're first starting out, it's, all bets are off. So I always recommend buying 9.5s modern. If you can find a nice clean copy, sometimes it's a nice PSA 10 crossover. You just never know, okay? You never know. So I'm going to show you today what I typically do, and then I'm going to show you two cards that I feel like I got for a pretty good deal. They're SGC slabs, and sometimes when you go with SGC or you go with CGC or you go a different route other than PSA and BGS for the most part, you're going to save a little bit of money, and that can be really nice. Maybe you're just trying to secure a card for your personal collection, or you're just, you're trying to make a crossover play. You're trying to buy something that's a 9.5 with another graded company, break it out and send it to PSA and get a 10. That kind of thing, definitely possible. I've done it plenty of times, which is actually why I typically buy my cards from other graded companies. You got to remember, with PSA 10, you're pretty much paying top dollar. Okay, so here's one that really stood out to me this week, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys kind of my logic here. So this is a 9.5 Mega Rayquaza EX from Roaring Skies. Now, if you don't know, Roaring Skies was an XY set that was printed to oblivion. All right, it was printed very heavily in big quantities, and the quality reflected that, right? So they're trying to pump out as many cards as possible. So Roaring Skies, the quality wasn't great. So a lot of these singles can be difficult to grade. You're oftentimes going to get like 8s and 8.5s straight out of the pack, which is insane. So this was a really cool deal. 9.5 Mega Rayquaza EX. Okay, so this is a 9.5 SGC. And this guy is selling this card for $180.
For $180.
Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what the surface of this card looks like, what the corners look like, any of that stuff. All I'm saying is this is maybe an opportunity that you can use to message this guy or message some guy if you're looking at a specific card. You get on here and you say, hey, can you give me better pictures of the back corners, right? The back corners. So you take a look at this. This is obviously a scan, so it's not going to give you like the best image quality when you're looking at specific, quality. But yeah, so you get on here, you take a little look at the centering. So you look at the left, you look at the right, you look at the top, you look at the bottom. You see how well the card is centered, and then you go ahead and you look at the corners. You go around, you say, all right, how do these corners look? Are they scuffed? Are they dinged? Do they have white marks? And it's actually kind of hard to tell, but these corners look like they might be okay. So this Mega Rayquaza EX 9.5 will set you back $180. Now let me show you what a PSA 10 just sold this week for the same card. So this week, TCA Gaming, Rusty, shout out to Rusty. Awesome dude, I've bought from him in the past. Awesome eBayer. But anyway, he sold this Mega Rayquaza EX right here that you can see. It's a PSA 10. It's the same exact card as the last card I showed you. And he sold it for $720 in a PSA 10. This is a pretty desirable card out of that set. A lot of people like Rayquaza. So you got to figure you're going from $180 to $720 potentially if you broke that card out and sent it to PSA. I'd say that's worth the $25 gamble to see if it works. Anyway, yeah, pretty fascinating stuff. So anyway, the two cards that I picked up, my voice just cracked there a little bit, but the two cards I picked up this week were Snorlax and Eevee GX, the promo, SGC 10, and then I also picked up the Charizard and Braixen SGC 10, and I got them because they were wicked cheap. SGC 10s for under $60 for a promo that's pretty, it's not like the hardest to grade because those tins were actually pretty good at protecting the cards, but it's definitely better than a PSA 10 in terms of price, and I'll probably cross them over at some point, and yeah, so it's nice to have them. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to show you guys that, wanted to share that with you, and hopefully this was educational for you, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.